Hi, bedtimers. It's Gabby and Sharon, and today we are joined by our special guest.
I'm Miss Araceli Cordova. I am a licensed marriage and family therapist. I've been practicing for about 7 years now.
Okay, so today's video is going to be focused on the effects of lack of sleep on our mental health, and we're going to be asking Ms. Cordova some questions in hopes of shedding some light on sleep deprivation in adolescents. What are some common behavioral indicators or symptoms that you see in adolescents who are struggling with sleep deprivation?
Teens are still developing. Your prefrontal cortex hasn't fully developed until you're about 25. That's where you make all your decisions, where you have your logic and reasoning. The issues with sleep deprivation in young adults, it can be seen in slow thinking, inability to think clearly or feel organized. There's a lack of energy. You can sometimes just feel tired no matter how much you try to sleep. There's definitely mood changes, so you might feel stressed, could feel anxious and irritable. You could have trouble retaining information, especially when you're in class and you're trying to learn something.
So I know you mentioned some ways sleep deprivation affects the body, but could you go more in depth about what the main effects are?
Yeah, it's recommended that people get like 7.5 hours of sleep, but in teens, you actually need about 9 hours. And if you don't get enough sleep, it pretty much affects all the functions of your body. It creates like risks in your mental health as well as your physical health. If you're not getting enough sleep, you can be at risk for high blood pressure. It decreases your body's ability to metabolize and regulate blood sugar. So that can cause like health issues in relation to diabetes, to obesity, cognitive disorders like Alzheimer's or dementia. Sleep deprivation also causes changes in your hormones. The hormone specifically that relates to hunger and appetite. So if you're not getting enough sleep, you're not regulating when to eat and when it's time for your body to digest. If you're not sleeping enough, you're not producing the hormone that like functions to repair some of the cells in your muscles and like your bones. And so you might, lose out on feeling rejuvenated. It also kind of slows down your body signals for reaction. So if you have to like fight or flight, it really reduces your ability to be able to, for your body to react to things that might cause you to be at risk. So say you're like driving a car and you're sleep deprived, like that can put you and other people at risk.
So, what are some prevalent mental health disorders that exist in adolescents that you see apart from sleep deprivation?
It could be in combination with depression and anxiety, and you do see it in bipolar disorder as well.
So following up on that, how does sleep deprivation play into these?
So for anxiety and depression, like I mentioned before, it slows your ability to think clearly. So when it comes to problem solving, sometimes people get anxious because they feel stressed and they have an overwhelming amount of work to do. So on top of like not getting enough sleep and you're trying to plan or cram for an exam, your nervous system gets overwhelmed. And so sleep loss can activate that system in your blood sugar and the release of cortisol, which is the stress hormone.
Okay, and I guess our last question is just what are some things you can recommend to adolescents to just improve their overall sleep hygiene or combat those symptoms and stuff that you mentioned as a result of sleep deprivation?
Yeah, so I would recommend that you try to stick to a sleep schedule. Try to get in bed 30 minutes before you actually want to be asleep. Don't check the time constantly because then that just creates like more anxiety of like, I'm not falling asleep. And I would also mention try to create an environment that relaxes you and sends signals to your brain like, hey, it's time to like start shutting down. I would recommend to try to do like your homework or any kind of activities outside of your room. So you're creating that space in your room to be more of like, this is where I come to relax, this is where I come to chill. I would also recommend like using that bedtime feature that a lot of new smartphones have. So it turns off your notifications and it doesn't let you open certain apps, like it limits your availability to open those. Stretching can be a really good one to release some tension that you carry in your muscles. And then I think lastly would be like if your sleep deprivation is getting really bad, to seek help from a professional, speak to your primary care provider, to a therapist, or to a sleep medicine specialist.
Well, thank you. That was all really insightful. So we want to say thank you for taking time. out of your day and putting effort into shining the light and spreading awareness on the mental effects of sleep deprivation in adolescents.
You're welcome. Thank you, guys.
And for our viewers, to learn more about sleep deprivation, don't forget to like and subscribe to Bedtime is the Best Time and follow our Instagram at bedtime.best.time. Thank you for tuning in.